Hey there YouTube, Imogen Hearts here, and this is another one of my Beauty for Beginners. So today we're going to be talking about foundation. Now there's several different types of foundation and I'm going to go over each one, and then I'm also going to be showing you how to apply your foundation correctly as well. So let's get started. So first, on the different types of foundation, I'm going to go over liquid. Of course, there is liquid foundation, things like these. This is Fit by Maybelline. This is a liquid foundation, but if you notice on the top, there's no pump. You just kind of have to pour it out. I tend to stay away from foundations like this because I like the control of the pump. So you have ones like this without the pump, and then you have ones like these where there is a pump where you can use this, and this one is NYX HD Studio. So I like this because I can control how much I am pumping out at a single time, so I know how much I'm using, I'm not wasting, and it's a lot easier to use. So your liquids like this are gonna have pumps. This one is my Hello Flawless by Benefit. This one also has a pump. So these liquid foundations, liquid I feel like can be more for coverage. Depending upon how liquidy they are, these are for like more medium coverage, but each brand offers its own individual set of how much coverage it gives you. The Hello Flawless is more light in coverage because it's a lot more watery and thin than something like my HD Studio, which is going to offer me a lot more coverage because it's a little bit thicker, and that's just the formula for it. So you just want to make sure that you're going in. I suggest you go to a beauty store, explain what kind of coverage you're wanting, and have someone help you from there, because they each offer their own different individual formula to what it's going to affect on your skin. So the next kind that I'm going to go over is something like this, where it's in a pot, like it's a mousse or a cream foundation. I tend to stay away from these because these are more for thick coverage. I don't like the heavier coverage. I don't like my face to feel heavy or weighed down, and I feel like creams or mousses tend to give you that. So this one right here is Cover Blend by Exuviance, and this is a concealing treatment makeup. But this is an example of like a mousse or a cream foundation, and these just apply a little bit too thick for me, so I tend to stay away from them. So this one, again, this is something that you want to kind of find what helps your own skin, and it also has to do with a lot of your skin type, whether you have dry, oily, or normal skin. What is going to go best on your skin? Again, I suggest going into a makeup store where someone can help you with that, deciding what it is exactly you want for your skin. Now, I tend to use something more like this. This is a beauty balm. Beauty balms not only give you coverage, they also have skin helping benefits. A beauty balm like this is going to help moisturize my skin, protect my skin, has an SPF of 20 inside of it. And I feel like this, the beauty balms are more lightweight. I feel like beauty balms are lightweight on my skin. I don't feel as thick. It's not gonna apply a lot of coverage for you. So if you're looking for tons and tons of coverage, you're probably not gonna wanna go with something like a beauty balm. But for someone like me that just likes to have it on my face so I can feel it on my face, I use something like the beauty balm. It's the same way for tinted moisturizers. Tinted moisturizers tend to affect your skin the same way a beauty balm does. They're not as thick and heavy. Those two are kind of categorized together for me. So something like this isn't going to be as heavy on your skin. Now the last type, and I don't really count it as a type, but I want to include it in here in case anyone else does, things like Bare Minerals or Pure Minerals, where it is a powder foundation, where they're saying that this is all you're going to need to powder your face. I don't like these at all because I like to use my liquid and my powder at the same time. But if you're just looking, and I feel like these are really buttery on your skin. I feel like I have butter on my face when I use these. I'm not sure how I still feel about these. I've only tried them a few times, but I tend to stay away from these quite a bit. But you do have your powder foundations where that's all you're gonna need is just your powder. They say they're a 4-in-1, a concealer, I don't know what else. Usually you can use them as a concealer, your foundation, your powder, everything. So that is another type. So now let's go over the uses for them. So I'm just going to be showing you two of the different kinds of foundations. I'm going to use the Beauty Balm, and I'm also going to use this liquid foundation. and show you on each side of my face so you can see. And I'm also going to be using two different methods. I'm going to be applying with my fingers and with my brush. And there is one other type that you can use to apply your to your face, which is sponges, but I don't like sponges at all. So I tend to lean more towards the brush or putting it on with my fingertips. So I'm just going to show you those two types today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pump a little onto the back of my hand. And I'm using Hello Flawless by Benefit, in case you wanted to know. So this is the liquid foundation. And to apply with my hands or my fingertips, I'm going to use these two fingers here, my middle and my ring finger. And what I'm going to do, and I always apply it on the back of my hand first because I want to see how much stuff I'm actually using before I use it. I don't want to waste any product. So I'm just going to tap with my fingers. And then I'm just going to start tapping onto my skin. Just like with the concealer, you don't want to rub into your skin with your foundation. If you rub into your skin with your foundation, you're not getting as much coverage as you think you are. You're going to get streaks. You're almost just rubbing it right off your skin. It's almost like you're not even applying it. So I just like to pack it on with my fingertips, and that way I know I'm getting a nice blended look. And I'm also getting a lot onto my skin as well. So I'm just going to continue to pat this onto my skin. Make sure that you're blending down into your neck because you don't want that funny line of foundation. I'm sure everyone's seen it. So you just want to make sure you're blending down into your neck too. Okay, so now I've got it applied to my face with my fingertips. Again, with that line, I want to make sure I don't have a line, so I tend to go back through and blend it right into my hairline to make sure I don't have any funky lines where you can see the difference between my natural skin and my foundation. Okay, so now that is how you apply with your fingertips, and now I'm going to be moving on to my brush. So what I'm going to do is squirt a little of this back onto the back of my hand, just like before. And with my brush, I'm going to just take a little bit at a time onto my brush. And I'm just going to start brushing onto my face. I like to start from like the inner part of my face, so my nose, and work my way out. And I never just drag along my skin. I always do the same method of patting onto my skin with my brush as well. And I'm blending right into my hairline. And you never ever want to take your foundation up above your orbital bone. So you want to keep your foundation in this area right here. Your concealer is already there for that. So you never want to take your foundation up to your eye. You want to keep it down towards your orbital bone. Your orbital bone is this area right here. So you never want to go past this towards your eye. And blending down into my neck. Okay, so that was how I applied my foundation. I don't tend to lean towards one foundation over the other just because it depends on what look I'm going for. If I'm going for more of a fresh no makeup look, I usually use a beauty balm. If I'm going for something heavier, like I'm going to a party or a wedding or something like that, I tend to lean more towards my liquid foundation. But I always apply with a brush. I don't like to use my fingertips, and I don't like to use a sponge. But that's completely up to you and what you like to do. I don't really like thick foundations. I like my liquid foundations. There's also the mousse, of course, I talked about earlier, but I tend to lean away from the mousse as well. I don't like the mousse foundations either. So I'm not going to make an entire separate video just for face powders, so I'm just going to go over it really quick. Now you can use face powder as a setting powder or just as an overall cover up over everything that you've just done, or you can use it by itself as its own foundation in a way. So you either have your loose powder, which is, this is just a CoverGirl loose powder, and I tend to stay away from loose powders. I hate the idea of breathing it in, so I tend to stay away from these, but you can use a loose powder, or you have something like this where it is a set powder, and it's like in a compact. These are your compacts. So you can either apply it with a sponge or you can apply it with a brush. Now, depending upon the coverage that I'm going for or the look, I either do the sponge for my more heavy covered look, where I want to make sure everything's concealed and set and stays in there. And then for a light fresh look, I usually just use my brush and just lightly dust over my skin. So I'm just going to do the brush today, and I'm just going to show you real quick. I just pat it in there, and I just, in circular motions, go over my skin. And this is just to set your foundation. This is just to make sure that it doesn't move throughout the day, that you don't have lines and streaking, and it doesn't sweat off. And so I do this. Now I'm going to go over one more thing really quickly with you guys. If you see in movies, you always talk about girls going to the bathroom to powder their nose and things like that because of the oils that come onto your skin. Now, instead of caking on makeup over top of makeup over top of makeup over top of makeup, I very highly suggest you invest in some blotting papers. They're always super cheap, they cost next to nothing, and it's going to help if you get oily here. You can just take one of these little blotting papers. I'll show you real quick. I don't have any oils because I just applied my makeup, so I don't know how much you'll really see other than the oils in my makeup. So you just take one of your little blotting papers and you just touch it to your skin and move. And you'll see the oil. I don't have any, like I said, I just applied my makeup, so I don't have oil on my skin yet. But you just take it and you blot it. That's it. Okay, so that was my beauty for beginners on foundation. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. Any comments or questions, don't forget to leave them below. I know a lot of this is just basic stuff, but there are a lot of girls who are just beginning in beauty, and I want to be able to help you use the tools that you've been given or know what to get for your skin or your face. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Bye.